A brand new Amazon leak has let us know that we're going to be getting an upcoming Strixhaven D&D crossover. We've got that and other interesting news tidbits to talk about today.
Magic.
I am a wizard!
History.
I'm an old wizard!
The Magic Historian.
My bones hurt. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. It has been a while since I have stood before you. A lot of my recent videos have been the sitting variations, but not for today, because today is Mega Magic News Day. Actually, Mega Magic News Light version, all right? Because it's not like we have a heavy amount of news. We've got a bit here and a bit there. The biggest, most juicy story, obviously, revolves around Strixhaven and Dungeons and Dragons. So let us just start right off with that. Now, what's the deal? Well, there has been a leak on Amazon. It's actually technically a Dungeons and Dragons leak. I mean, Wizards of the Coast makes all these products anyway, so who cares, right? But ultimately, it's a leak of upcoming Dungeons and Dragons products. And on the list of products was specifically something called Curriculum of Chaos, specifically referencing Strixhaven. So this is most likely going to be similar to what we've seen in the past with both Ravnica and Theros, where you get a big fat Dungeons and Dragons book that is laying out the world and what's going on with it, but specifically through the metrics of Dungeons and Dragons. So here are the stats for this kind of monster. Here's how this kind of character class would operate. So in terms of the world of Strixhaven, it actually is a pretty interesting concept for Dungeons and Dragons adventures, right? You've got some obvious kind of story hooks that you can have. You've got the 5 elder dragons that were formed in a really interesting way through the convergence of magic. If you didn't know, Strixhaven is the magical school on the world of Arcavios. And Arcavios is a massive, sprawling world, but most of it we don't actually know that much about, right? We know that Arcavios was fused together from 2 other planes of existence. And as a result, instead of the natural formations of mana, you end up with conflicting mana configurations. And in some places where that mana configuration was at its most tumultuous and strongest, at these 5 nexuses, you had these crystalline spheres that formed. And from those spheres, the elder dragons of the world of Arcavios were formed, right? And they burst forth as the first beings able to use magic. And then over time, the lesser beings were able to also kind of sort out magic and what they were doing with it. But that led to a massive age of despair and destruction known as the Blood Age, where everybody was running rampant with magic and destroying each other, right? So that obviously is an interesting history. When it comes to playing D&D, you can set yourself anywhere along the timeline that you want, right? So you're not stuck with just the idea of you have to play in present day Strixhaven and go to the school. You could actually be part of the formation of the school of Strixhaven. Maybe you're one of the mortals who helped to persuade the Elder Dragons that actually, yes, mortals should have access to this magic. Because originally the Elder Dragons were like, no, magic only for us, you guys shouldn't have that. But because of the tumultuous Blood Age, the Elder Dragons came together and said, you know what, let's form the school of Strixhaven. It will be a codified way to kind of control magic on the world and end up with not everybody just laying waste to everything, right? So you've got that, you've got the villainous hook of the Auric, who are the like subterfuge, subterranean, hiding in the shadows, evil organization, but kind of with understandable roots, where they're essentially people who resent Strixhaven's stranglehold over magic, and they believe that everybody should have access to magic, but at the same time, the organization has a lot of like greedy and selfish people who don't want to put in the work and would be a danger if they had access to the highest levels of magic. So there's a bit of tension there that leads to an awesome place to tell stories from, right? Admittedly, the school of Strixhaven itself too, if let's say you're starting out where everybody is it's a gaggle of wizards. Now that doesn't normally happen in a Dungeons and Dragons adventure, right? Most of the time, not everybody's going to want to play the same character class, but you could have a bunch of different classes with spellcasting subtypes, right? Like, I mean, if you're a bard, you use different magic or lesser magic than a regular wizard. It all depends on the edition of Dungeons & Dragons you're used to as well, right? I played D&D back in the 2nd edition days. But either way, the idea of a Strixhaven themed Dungeons & Dragons set it's workable. You've got a lot to play around with there. So that should be interesting for people. And I like when they put these books out too, because they'll give you an extra like in-depth look into tiny aspects of a world that you never really considered before. Like, I never got my hands on the Theros Dungeons & Dragons book. I wish I had, but I do own the Ravnican Dungeons & Dragons book, and that one went into depth about, like, here's the different currencies they use and other things like that. It's small little details that if you're just a Magic player, you're probably not going to care that much about, but if you're somebody who really enjoys flavor and lore and all those little, like, extra add-ons, then it's going to be a better deal for you, right? So for me, it's a cool idea. Now, the next few things we have to talk about are more tidbitish, not as exciting, but still, depending on who you are. The next one we're going to talk about, the Grand Phyrexian Completion, the Grand Phyrexian Creature Type Update. This is something that I never thought we would see in Magic the Gathering, and I have to say, it's really neat, and it's a long time coming. Wizards of the Coast decided back when Kaldheim came out that Phyrexians were going to be their own creature type. They would no longer be zombie, horror, whatever. They can be those too. But up until now, Phyrexians were only ever considered like one particular thing, like you're a horror, you're a zombie or whatever. But they never had the unification of all being Phyrexians, even though they all exist to glorify Phyrexia and all share that like common bond of completion. So in a way, at least from a flavor perspective, it didn't make sense for Phyrexian not to be a creature type. But I just never really thought about it and went, you know what, Phyrexian should be a creature type, until they put it on, what was his name, Vorinclex. When they put it on Vorinclex and Kaldheim, I went, dude, this feels so right. And you can see with Modern Horizons 2, with the Germ token, they updated it to Phyrexian Germ. And now they've taken it all the way, and all of the Phyrexian creatures throughout the history of Magic have all been errated to be Phyrexian creature type. And this is a time to rejoice! Rejoice! The father of machines' creations are finally getting the respect they deserve. And this means that you can now use all kinds of funky Tribal Matters cards with Phyrexians, which is a really neat thing that I honestly didn't even think of at first. It was pointed out to me last night in a live stream where it's like, isn't it great that they updated the Phyrexian creature type and now you can use things like Coat of Arms to give everybody a big old boost? And it's like, that's right. It's not just from a flavor perspective, it's also from a mechanical perspective, which makes it that much better. So for me, I'm super stoked to see that they've made this change, and it is most assuredly newsworthy. On another fun note, we're going to turn to Arena for a moment. If you weren't aware, the Jumpstart event is back on Arena. It's going on for the next month or so. How it works is you get 2 little 20-card packs that are specifically based on a theme, like here's your dwarf theme, here's your soldier theme, here's your goat theme, here's your Phyrexian theme. I don't think there's a goat theme, but there is definitely a Phyrexian theme, and it has a crazy Phyrexian swamp with the Phyrexian. Oh, it's awesome. But anyways, the Jumpstart event is actually really fun in terms of just getting to mishmash these 2 little 20-card side components together. You take 2 of them, and then they combine into your full-on concept, right? So you could get, there's one pack called Rainbow, and one pack called Phyrexia. You could get them together, and now you're playing a Phyrexian rainbow deck, which is even better than a double rainbow. So the idea behind it is a lot of fun. You got a whole month to try it out, so I figured I'd let you guys know in case you weren't aware, because they didn't really trumpet it all over the place this event was going to be going on, and even if you log into Arena, it's not immediately in your face, and I thought you guys might appreciate knowing that. And then the final little bit of news tidbit that I have to include is really kind of connected to other things, and that's just very, very tiny. There is a sketch card from the Modern Horizon set, the Nykthos Paragon, that actually has a misspelling in the descriptive like flavor text there. Now, literally the only reason I'm bringing that up as news is because over on my other channel, I'm going to be going through and reviewing all 50 plus of the different sketch cards. It's like a research stream because I want to do a video on this channel where we dive into how much of a home run these sketch cards really are, because they're an amazing concept. So after this video releases, I'm going to be over on my Hatcher channel where I do live streams and things like that. We're going to be doing a live stream going through all the sketch cards. So I invite you to come by and hang out. It will be an enjoyable time. That's all that I have really in terms of Mega Magic News Light. All right, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below, my friends. List of my top patrons scrolling on by, and I will leave a link here at the end to the Hatcher channel where I will be live streaming. So come on over. I'll see you over there, my friends. Goodbye for now.